So good morning. I'm Bridget Rates, the owner of Whispering Stones and Solstice, and I am here today in my crystal conversation with Michael Scholes, or as he says on his screen, Michael S. from Virginia. Um, we are super excited to have you today. It's not every day we get to talk to an OG in their industry, so we here at the store super excited to get to talk to you. So welcome.
Well, very nice to be here. Nice to convey on in your storefront. I love it.
Yes, it's a virtual visit to the store today.
Yeah,
So what we wanted to talk about with you today is, I know we of course have discovered you and are super excited to be doing a class with you on June 8th about all things aromatic. So I guess the first thing I want to ask you is, how did you come across aromatherapy? And when did you start really discovering the enormity of its potential as a healing tool?
In 1987, I discovered essential oils while I was in England. I didn't know what they were. I met what you could consider to be the #1 aromatic expert in the world, Dr. Daniel Penwell. He was from France. And I think of talking to him for 10 minutes, I decided this is going to be something I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I don't know where that voice came from, but I think it was the sheer knowledge base that he had. He knew everything about the oils, and I didn't even know what an essential oil was. And I asked him about this and that and this, and he just reeled it off. Like, I'm thinking, how could someone know so much about something I have never even heard of? And something inside me kind of woke up, and just smelling those oils in that short period of time, woke up, and I was like, I'm in.
That's such a gift. You know, I see so many people, even within the healing modalities, are not quite sure which one is theirs, which one is their gift. And it takes them a while to discover. So 37 years ago, you stumble across some essential oils. It hits you. You must have seen a huge change in this industry, because did we even know much about essential oils 37 years ago?
This is not even, there's no computers, no cell phones. You had to go to libraries. You might find something on essential oils in herbal books. There may have been 2 or 3 books. Robert Tisser had a book early in that time, but just basic stuff. I mean, nothing like compared to today. So we were really pioneers. Daniel was in France with also his partner Pierre Francom, who was he was working in the pharmacies, and he was a scientist. And so I'm an end user, and I'm a teacher, and I was given the title of bringing the French aromatic model to the English-speaking world. That's how significant that meeting was.
Wow.
And when I talk about it from that point of view, that means that I am actually a pioneer. You know, I think we talked about it before that you discovered me, but I'm not a dinosaur, but I really feel like I am a vintage pioneer, and that's not to take credit where credit shouldn't be due, but my work in this field for that 37 years has spread far and wide, and has definitely molded and created the aromatic environment we're in today. Without me being involved in that point, and several other people, we would not have the aromatic world where, you know, 1 billion people are owning essential oils, and that would have never happened. It all began in England, and it also began in France, and it took off in the States.
So you discover this, and thank goodness you discovered this. Did you when did you start to grasp the healing potential of it? Because I know there's, you know, a lot of times now I look at aromatherapy, and it's always the aroma that seems to get the precedence. People aren't always talking about what does it do for you on a therapy side, but it almost seems like you flip the switch on that. You're definitely more into the therapy side of what does this do for you as a healing modality. Did you know immediately that it had that potential, or was it something that grew and grew over those 37 years?
That's a good question. Thank you. It's so after I met Daniel, I decided I was going to help. I said, why do people not know about this? And he said, well, he said, I don't know. We keep coming to this event, and we get almost nobody's even coming asking us. So I said, what do you need? He said, we'd like to put a program on. I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll put on a program for you in London. 2 months later, and they're looking at me like an alien, and I mean, I just met you. How could you possibly do that? But anyway, after that, we did the event, and after the event, I went. Before the event, I went to France. He was in the outskirts of Paris, and then we went to Toulouse, which is in the south, and I spent time with his family, and I learned, and I watched the patients who came to see him. I saw burns and infections and emotional collapse and psychotic behaviors. And I saw, when you applied the essential oils, how completely instantaneously there was a shift in every one of those cases. Infections that would have normally killed somebody were starting to heal, where clients would come every single day to see him. So if in France, in the hospitals where he was, when they couldn't help a client, they would send him to Dr. Penwell. And because he's a medical doctor specializing in aromatics, completely legal. It's not like he was a backstreet aromatherapist. He was a legitimate case. So all the cases he got were extreme. And I was like, holy smokes, I cannot even believe what I'm seeing and witnessing. And,
Develop your own remedies at some point over time, because when I know I didn't discover the OG, but when I came across your website, what I was struck by was with all of the different remedies that you actually have in various applications, you had such an interesting take and such a compassionate and sophisticated take on all different kinds of things that these remedies can help with. So give me a little bit of information about how you started to develop the individual remedies and kind of your walk through the remedies, because I'm sure the 100 remedies just didn't appear overnight.
Well, I have 100 remedies that are from my 1,750 formulations, and I took the top 100. But before that, in order to get to the point where I could even formulate, I had to first of all learn every aspect of the subject, which included blending and formulating. And I'm self-taught, so this is not something you could do a class here or there or meet other people. You could read a bit, but you really, this program evolved, this experience I had evolved from teaching 1,000 classes in 5 continents. And eventually, when you involve yourself and deep dive into something so deeply, you actually then create the end result. And of course, perfumery has some similarities to formulating, but it's taken 37 years to create 1,750 formulas, of which 100 of those are what I consider to be my master formulations that cover the whole life human experience. Which means it goes from somebody who's absolutely not grounded to somebody needing to find or have a connection with God. And every part of the journey, just like the Tarot is a journey of the Fool, this is a journey of your life experiences as told in an aromatic equation, which ends up being a formulation, which ends up being a master formulation, and then, of course, a life-changing fragrance.
So do you see this working with other healing modalities as well? I mean, within the holistic healing umbrella, there's so many different things. There's acupuncture and energy healing and all these other things. It seems like it's a perfect fit or perfect pairing with so many other things that maybe are less conventional medicine.
It's pairing for everything, because essential oils, by the definition, the essence or the fragrance is invisible. You can't see it. You can see it in the bottle, but you can't see the fragrance. So in a modality by itself, it's also beneficial. But if you add it to something else, so if you add it to massage, if you add it to the skincare, if you add it to psychotherapy, if you add it to acupuncture, if you add it to crystal healing, it adds an essence to the experience that changes your perception of what you're experiencing. So in massage, it would take a therapeutic touch and add a layer of aromatic molecules that literally changes the way you think and feel on the inside as well as on the outside.
So vibrational. I mean, basically, what are we talking vibrational? Or are we talking scent? Help me there.
We're talking physical, emotional, psychological, mental, spiritual, and energetic. and the energetic would be the vibrational. It's on all layers simultaneously. And of course, the body will reveal if you've got cancer, then you're stuck in the physical realms of your challenge. That doesn't mean there isn't a spiritual and an energetic and emotional aspect of the cancer, but you've got to really deal with the physical. Well, essential oils will target the physical. It doesn't mean that it will get rid of your cancer. What it does, it changes the structure of your thoughts and your cellular memory and also your physical, in order that your body becomes more aligned with your true self. And if you're in your true self, cancer couldn't live there.
Because you're aligned. So you're in a perfect healing position at that point.
Yeah, misalignment means out of balance. If you're out of balance for too long, you will develop all kinds of emotional and psychological challenges because you're not living within the realms of normal. You're living in a bipolar world, and the bipolar world is crazy on one side and too rooted in life on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
The middle area is completely ignored. And where's the middle area in the body? The heart. So if you're in both extremes, how can you feel the heart? How can you feel love in the essence of that being the most significant thing? But you can't get to the heart unless you align all other aspects of yourself.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. We had a little happy accident the other day in the store. We had a client come in and she was very scattered, as we would say. She was scattered, covered, and smothered, if you're going to use the Waffle House, and just was getting ready to go into a big energy healing with our resident shaman. And we have a really gorgeous big grounding bowl that you stand in. And we love that for when someone's really out of whack, sad, grieving, any kind of an extreme. So we put her in there and we were preparing the water for the bowl with some amethyst. And I'd been playing with some of the healing remedies that we'd gotten in, and I had stress relief in my hand. So Jen and I looked at each other and we said, should we? And we just, we dropped a few drops in there and then added the amethyst. And then what we do is we gong the bowl. We actually 3 different types of sound healing with it. And when we started to gong the bowl, the smell and like the amazing vibrations that came out of that bowl were really quite incredible.
It amplifies, it changes, it moves energy instantaneously. In fact, your body will have a reaction even before you actually cognitively recognize the fragrance. It's already in you, and it's already changing. It's binding to receptors in your body and changing the experience, not only for the client but also for the therapist. As therapists or as practitioners, we need to get as much, if not more, than the client, because we're doing this work all day long. So we constantly need to be restored in that regard.
No, I don't disagree. It was interesting for us to watch because in other times we've done it with just plain water. The amethyst crystals around the client's feet in the water, typically we see the water will jump in like 1 to 2 inch spikes when we hit the bowl. It just comes straight up. It looks playful and joyful and kind of very effervescent. And when we put the stress relief drops in there, it was so interesting to watch it. It fanned out, didn't jump anymore, but it fanned out into this beautiful sacred geometry pattern across the surface of the water. Like it just kind of like emanated from the outside straight in towards her feet. It was beautiful. And sitting on the floor trying to film it, which is where I was, I could feel it literally feet away. The difference, just sitting there feeling it kind of come at me from that. Our UPS guy walks in after this is all over and she's in session. He walks in and he's like, whoa, what happened in here? He had this, like, it was the scent and the feeling and the energy was really uplifting. So that was like one of our first opportunities to really take it for a spin over here, which I'm sure you've done millions of times, but it was really quite fun for us.
Well, you have to realize that essential oils are 100 times stronger than the dried herbs or the plant itself. So 1 drop is a massive amount of plant material. So it's the strongest and most it's the strongest and most active and most beneficial and most therapeutic of anything that is created from nature. From homeopathics, which is the complete opposite, to herbs that are somewhere in the middle, and the subtlety and the infusions. But to the essential oils, they're like plants on steroids. I mean, they're one drop, one smell out of the bottle. I have things on my hands and my claws, and wherever I go, I can smell aspects of what I've been doing, and they're working. Continue. If you can smell it, they're working. And by
So
the way, I created my 1750 formulas for me.
for you, tell me about
I got a lot of problems.
that.
I'm aware.
1,750 of them.
I'm aware of all the layers in regards to healing. You know, this is not just a mental healing or getting physical touch or psychological or sitting with crystals or meditating. Our healing is layered. And in order to get down to the core of resolution, of letting go of that we're not our childhood memories, we're not our past, it takes time. And therefore, any specific problem that anybody's facing has multiple aspects to that particular challenge, and it's like you're dissecting the problem with a thin laser blade, or a laser blade where you're cutting away slowly at a problem that has 100 or 1,000 components. Each blend, each experience, every time you use it, is breaking away like sacred geometry. It's moving stuff energetically in order to reveal the emptiness, which then can be filled with something more positive, and it can be filled with something that didn't exist before. If you put pain in a part of your body, if you remove the pain, you have to, by definition, put something else in the space where the pain was. If you're to put God in there, or if you were to put love in there, or you were going to put passion on and do something with all the qualities of aspects of yourself, you literally shift. And imagine the body's made out of 1,000 different components, and every one has to be realigned. This is not a one-time application deal.
So, so that's one thing I know everyone's going to want to know. So let's say I have one of your roll-on remedies. I've gone the roll-on route, and I've got one of those. In fact, we're going to be doing a pairing with you on a number of different things. I think we're starting with anxiety, and we're going to be pairing that with chrysocolla. So anxiety is something I hear about a lot with people that come in the store. It's either them and racing thoughts and not being able to settle, or keeping revisiting the past about something when it's triggered over and over, or it's a child, or it's a teenager, it's a young adult who really has issues with that. I think that's extraordinarily prevalent right now. And so we decided to lead with anxiety as our first offering. And chrysocolla is a stone that is extraordinarily calming, balancing, and very compassionate. So to me, it's the perfect pairing, because when someone asks for a stone for their person to hold or wants one for themselves, we like it because we feel like it's so connected. It's a copper-based mineral, so great for conductivity too. It just has this very calm, the world is okay. You are all right. It's got that feeling. It's like a really soft, warm breeze sort of feeling. They're a perfect pairing. So we're doing that. And I know one of the questions that's going to come up on that is, how often do I apply the remedy? If I can't smell it anymore, is it still working? I'm giving you several at once, so you can pick whichever one you want. And if, let's say I have a different one, let's say I have something like fire, which is one we're going to do later, or grief, or what's another one? Prosperity. Let's say there's one of those other remedies. Maybe I'm collecting and I have a number of them. Can they be layered with each other? Can you do them? Do you do them in the morning? Should you do them right before bed? I mean, I will tell people there are some stones you should not sleep with because they're very bubbly and energetic and they may disturb you. Some are perfect. So what do you think? How do you tell people how to use these?
Well, I mean, there needs to be continuous connection to what you're smelling for the healing to take place. It's not a one whiff situation. So applying them regularly as often as you like, there's no disadvantage or problem physically or chemically that will change something within you that you don't want. No side effects. You can apply them as much as you want, whenever you want, but continuously. So whether you choose one and then choose a different one later on, or add one to the other, or layer it on top of it, it doesn't matter. You want a continuous connection. It's like if we were, the one thing about our isolation is that we disconnected from nature. But at one point, in our history, we would never have been disconnected from nature. We would have been sleeping under the stars in nature, and we wouldn't have had anxiety. Anxiety might have been from the fact that somebody's going to come and try to kill us, or we have no food, or there's problems around us, but not the same degree. We're worried about whether UPS is going to get here. This is a whole different layering. So a continuous connect. I've had a continuous connection to fragrance for 37 years. There's any day I've not been covered with essential oils one way or the other, even when I travel. And what it does, it constantly reminds me to be more centered and more present. Anxiety is when you don't have peace. And, rest in peace means you only get it when you're dead, and hopefully you'll get it before then. But peace is the central point. If you don't have any peace, by definition, you're anxious because you don't have the quiet. And even though meditation, and even crystals and whatever else you put in there, they will give you temporary moments of peace, but not continuous. I'm interested in continuous, and I have my own aspects with anxiety and stress and trauma and so forth, but it's not the same as it used to be. It used to be all controlling, all consuming, racing around. Now I am way more, I'd say I've got a lot of peace in my life, and I've got stuff and I don't deal with my anxiety the same way. I'm a better communicator. So if I can't do something, I'll let people know. Before, I never let people know because I wanted to make sure that I rush through something and then maybe have an accident on the way to UPS. It doesn't make any sense. There's nothing to rush around with. Nature's not rushing.
Yeah.
So the idea of putting it on and having a continuous connection, because the blends we're attracted to and the ones we pull out, or the ones we're guided to pick out, just like crystals, they're there to teach you where you are in the moment in order to move forward. I'm sure you start with one crystal, and before you know it, somebody's moving their energy and they're into something else, and before you know it, they got a house full.
Well,
essential oils. I'm just a collector. I'm a collector. I've got 800 essential oils here. They're parts of my personality. 800. That shows how complex we are and how complex nature is.
no, I don't disagree with that. We find that with stones. We find people that come in, and Melanie and I think we shot a whole video about this, about which stone, which crystal's right for you. And what we discovered is people will come in and they'll say, someone will have told them, it could be a practitioner, it could be a friend, it could be something they saw online. They're like, I need a piece of amethyst. So we send them towards the amethyst and they end up with something bright orange. It's that we always feel like the stone calls the person, because you end up with what you need, which I think is going to be a component of the class we're about to talk about. But we do find that. We find that you tend, at least in my store, what we found is people tend to gravitate towards, it's all on a subconscious level, but on the vibrational component of the stone that they need. They just end up in front of it for some reason. And then over time, as they shift, it may be that they're focusing on something different, or let's say they bought carnelian, which is very creative and inspirational, and it's confident. It also helps you not procrastinate. So maybe after they play with their carnelian for a while, they need something else. That's the next step with that, or the next layer. So yeah, we do see people, once they get confident that whatever stone they're working with really has some integration in their life and they see a difference, they often get called to add, which, yeah, they all have a different flavor.
Well, the essentials are the same. The essentials choose you. So, yeah. And even when I'm purchasing essential oils, I mean, I have like multiple of each oil. I mean, I have 7 different patchoulis and 29 different lavenders. Why I choose one over another is because it calls to me for a specific. Lavender, you may think, is a calming blend. It's good for anxiety, but it's got multiple layers. And depending on which altitude, which country, what the soil type is, creates a different nuance of that fragrance. Each one speaks to me. Each one speaks to me separately. And therefore, when I use it in a blend, I use a specific lavender that matches what that blend is supposed to do. It's a calling, it's a knowing. I don't do that mentally. That's already in me. Of all the 750 oils, I know most of them by number. I know the number and know exactly where it is in my lab. And it pops in my head sometimes. Try even on the formula, I go, I think you need to replace that one with this one. It's constantly changing. Nothing stays the same.
I'd say it's similar in the stone world. We have different ones call us. We've got some really cool anecdotes about dreams with stones coming in, especially Melanie with her wall of troleite. And we've had some really interesting experiences with the stones and what they do. And just like you say, it's weird. You could have lavenders from all over the world. You can have clear quartz from many places in the world, and they all have a very different signature. So they pair better with certain things. They also feel different alone, but you put all three, say for example, the best clear quartzes, you put all three from Madagascar, Brazil, and Arkansas together, and that is one sacred combination. When you put all three, it's like the missing three pieces in a perfect puzzle, or as my fingers are doing it right now, so I'll just say it. It's the perfect like tetrahedron, three-sided pyramid. When you put them all together, it feels like something like divine comes out of the top. It's really interesting how they're also from all over the world.
No,
So
it's a world within a world within a world. And I think when people think about essential oils, they just think about the actual names, the common name. Well, there's a Latin botanical name. There is a genus. There's a botanical family that belongs to, and it has a different soil type. It has a certain liking. The leaves have a certain shape, and all these leaves are signatures of. I've learned to read the signatures of the plants and to look at things with it. Like patchouli is a musky. It's only becomes musky patchouli because they let the plants rot when they fall when they hit the ground, and then when they distill it, that odor that comes through, which is musky, is also the older part of ourselves. Things that are musky are old, but typically that word smells like it's off, but it's not. Patchouli was very popular in the 60s. It's where the time of revolution took place. So patchouli is an excellent oil for change. If you're stuck if you want to go back to the 60s and reminisce, it's because you really preferred it back in those days versus today's world. But change, it doesn't have a time or a place. It is right now. Change is the most difficult thing to do because we like our comforts. We want to be stuck in one place because we feel comfortable. But fragrance moves energy just like crystals. And just like other modalities, combine 3 or 4 things together, you could have maybe an amazing experience overall from a therapeutic point of view.
I love that. Okay, so this class, we're going to do it on June 8th. It's going to be here at Solstice. So Michael S. VA will have to be Michael S. GA for that day. So we'll pull you down here. And, I read your outline of it and got really excited because, of course, first, I'd just love to learn some more about all the different aromatherapy and the things that you've discovered. But it really sounded interesting to me about how people are going to choose their own remedies. So I thought it might be fun in this part of our discussion for you to tell me a little bit about what that class looks like in action, because once I really had the conversation with you about what it was going to look like and what people were going to get to participate in, learn, and do, I was like, I'm in. So tell me about it.
So, of course, there'll be a little bit of an introduction to the aromatic world in terms of how to perceive fragrance, how to use it, where it comes from, and so forth. So we can all be on the same level in terms of understanding. So you don't have questions about what are these? I don't understand them. And then talk about the 100 formulas, which are it can be broken down into groups of 10. There's 10 for the physical, there's 10 for the emotional, the psychological, the mental, the sacred, the stress aspects, the recovery aspects, and also the spiritual. So there's 10 categories, of which 10, and I have a way of organizing these blends into 10 different categories where each person participating in the program gets to choose blindly one aspect from each one of those categories.
So tell me how that works, because it sounded like when you first kind of went over it with me, that it was kind of like Project Runway's button bag, where you stick your hand into a bag and basically you get to pull the one with your intuition. You get to pull the one that might be the one for you and say mental.
I can't tell you all my secrets. I'm like a magician, but there's a way of creating the environment where we can align as a group and individually, where we can then set our intentions that whatever we choose, we accept, first of all,
Okay.
and that they choose you. What that will mean is that each person will end up with 10 different blends, with very few people nobody will have the same collection, and very few people will have anything even close to somebody else. So if you're one of those people that said, I wish I had your sweater because it looks better on you than it looks on me, but when I try, it doesn't look good at all, or what have you. It is a complete acceptance of inviting in what these key words around these blends mean for you.
Okay.
And then experience what they smell like, to examine the physical aspect of that blend, the emotional and the spiritual aspects of that blend as it applies to you. Sometimes it will be a physical aspect, sometimes it will be emotional, sometimes it will be a more spiritual. It will get you to see three sides of the same coin within yourself. So you think to yourself, I don't need to detox. That's one of the names of the blends.
Okay.
Well, detoxification is not just going on a fast or going to the bathroom or letting go of that. Detoxification means your thoughts, your heart, your emotions that need to move and change and release. So when you look at it from that point of view, you start to see things differently. Also, you will probably align with the fragrance. At the end of it, I will collect for each person. I'll tell a small story about each person and why they chose what they chose.
So sorry, go ahead.
I'm not a psychic. I'm an intuitive, but it's really hard I already had a lot of perceptions already. I come from a family. My grandmother was a healer. My mother my mother would call me 3 times a week at the same time I picked up the phone to call her. I'm connected. So I'm also connected to plants, and therefore plants can't do what they need to do on their own. They need a conduit. I'm the conduit. But tell someone's story and put it into perspective. If you don't like something, you don't have to take it. You might find somebody else to trade with who has something they want to trade with you.
My guess is that doesn't happen too often though, right?
Occasionally, but most people like to have that they chose it and they want to keep it and they don't want to give something away. But occasionally, maybe. And then, of course, by the end of the program, you will have a roadmap or a blueprint to what you need to do next in the first 10 aspects of your journey. And then, of course, in the idealistic world, we'd do that 10 times for each person until they have all 100. If you were to lay down all the remedies from beginning to end, randomly, it's a life's journey of all the aspects of the human condition that need to be integrated and are inside us. If you say, well, I don't have any problems with money, I don't have any problems with sadness, I'm not depressed. Depression is not somebody who needs to be on medication. Depression is the moment you're not thinking positively about who you are, where you are, what you're doing. Even when you're not even acknowledging it's a low-grade depression and even beyond that. So by putting these in order, you're literally a blueprint for your entire life of all the things you need to do, just like the fool in the tarot who has to overcome all these obstacles and get from one part to the other and then repeat, because now we're going to go back and do it all over from a different perspective. When you have that kind of information, it's like a starting point for reintegration into your life, which gives you the time then to say, what do I need to do in my life to align with my new story or align with my new consciousness? And some people take time to make adjustments in their own personal lives, the people around them, where they're living, what they're doing. And then when they're ready, they have a chance to then come back and do something else. Now, the thing we're doing it in the class is different because I do this one-on-one. It's expensive to do that one-on-one just with me for 90 minutes. In a class, you don't get 90 minutes with me, but you get everybody together where you'll see in other people where they struggle, where you aren't, and where you need to go, where you're not going, or where you are, where somebody else isn't. So you really get a group experience. Plus, you get wonderful people in the same space, which now you've got everybody's life experience coming in, that add it to the cauldron and add your crystals and your own energy to it, can become transformational because we're in person, not on a computer screen.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this. When we started talking about, basically putting all of the participants in a circle so that everybody is really connected. Everyone's going to have their own blend, their own 10 collection blend explained to them. But sometimes I learn as much or more about whatever condition or whatever I'm struggling with when I hear other people talk about it and I hear about their struggles. First of all, I think there's just something about the tie of the humanity for that and the vulnerability. But I also think it's that we learn from others, we learn from others' struggles. We also, when you get all the support from someone around in a group, there's something that it's just invaluable. I mean, there's a whole different component in that as well. So I'm so excited about this class. I think it sounds educational. It sounds like there's a lot of hands-on learning. There's a lot of intuition that comes to bear, and there's a lot of healing potential.
Exactly, all the above. And I did this program in Switzerland. I've done this program in Georgia with a client there. I am not in a hurry to teach this program as a monetized experience. If the environment doesn't suit, if the consciousness who's organizing it isn't aligning, it won't work. It won't be a fulfilling experience. It's not something I do on a regular basis unless it's requested, and it's only requested because I'm assuming that you're being so connected to what you do, and then now connected to a fragrant aspect, that you'll get a tremendous amount from this program yourself, because you'll get to witness. So the group experience is worthwhile. And it's not open to a lot of people either, because in order to get the personal experience, we're aiming at a maximum of 20 people.
Right. We're aiming at a maximum of 20. And I guess if it goes over, I'll be sitting there going, can you be in Georgia one more day? Maybe we'll split it into two. But I think it's an excellent opportunity.
It's a day program. It is what you get on that day is what you get. Any more would be overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. It's a starting point. Yeah. I don't typically repeat this program. This is not a program I do like every month or every year. This is a specific event that nobody else does. There's no. Why does nobody else do it? Because this came naturally out of me. I only put together the 100 oils that I thought were the best 100. And then I went to myself, oh my word, if I put all these end to end, I would have an amazing, this would be every single thing that I've been working on my whole life. And I went, well, I can't give people concentrated essential oils. So then I thought maybe a concentrated roll-ons would be good in a color-coded, systemized methodology. It took about 2-3 years to put together.
Can't imagine.
It was not just like, and it was effortless. This was not just, how can I monetize my collection? This is the absolute divinely guided plan for people who really are looking to make a shift. And what does that mean? It could be your health. It could be something that you're dealing with from the feminine. It could be the man in your life or the masculine within. It could be addictions, trauma. It could be the lack of a spiritual pathway. But it's not individual categories. They're all together. Right. So when you get your formulas, you could literally compress them all into one, which is why I like to layer. And that would be your master reset blend that would enable you to make those transformational changes that are not based on words. I'm just a facilitator like you.
Sure. Yeah, conduit.
You're based on experience from the natural world, concocted by me, but had nothing to do. I was just the monkey putting the
conduit. Maybe the conduit, not the monkey.
I'm the conduit. I'm the monkey, because what I'm saying is that when I blend, I formulate according to my intuition, and my intuition is something inside me. It's not anything in my brain. It's purely instinctual. So when I present a blend, if you don't like it, don't talk to me about it. Go somewhere else.
Well, there you go.
Go to God and blame him for your challenges or something. But that's why this isn't for everybody.
Right.
And it's not about whether you're ready to do this program. It's whether you're open to finding another way into your world where you can transform yourself using fragrance only, not words, and aligning with something that may help you overcome something that's coming to you in the form of a sickness, overcoming something to you that you've never been able to get over, breaking free of all the restrictions that you have in your life, not giving yourself the passion or not aligning with somebody else or not being able to communicate. This gives you the possibilities of transformational change. And transformational change is never done in a room with 1,000 people.
No, definitely.
That's entertainment. This is doing it in your space. I expect it to be ultra transformative because you have all the same things from the earth in a different composite.
Mm-hmm.
So around all that beautiful earth wisdom and knowledge, combined with the fragrance, combined with my 37 years plus your own wisdom, I mean, it is like a rocket ship for transformation.
I think we're gonna have, and you know what else? We're gonna have so much fun.
Well, I mean, it's already fun because I mean the thing is, trauma is not trauma. The fun part is recognizing the humor behind your trauma and then realizing that there's a possibility to change that and not be stuck.
I agree. So I guess the best way we can do it is we'll tell people the best way to get tickets for this. It's going to be June 8th. You'll see it come up. It's on our website now at solstice.love. Don't do solstice.com. I have no idea where you'll go if you do that, but do solstice.love. Go under our classes and events. You're going to see this event on June 8th. It's a full day. It's like 10 to 5. There will be lunch there. So get yourself a ticket, get one for your friends or your mom or your daughter. Come in a pair. That might be incredibly interesting. But I know it's going to sell out. It's going to be fabulous. So if you want to come and join Michael and I, and our staff, our happy staff over here at Solstice, will make you as comfortable as possible in the crystals while you explore the potential of all these aromatic remedies. It's going to be magical. So thanks for agreeing to do it with us. And thanks for this conversation.
You're welcome. This is a healing event, but it's not healing as in what you think healing is. This is not a meditation. This is not a confrontation. This is an effortless interaction with something that you may not be aware of that will only open up you to what you're feeling in whatever way you're feeling. This is not something you have to perform at. You just have to sit and enjoy. If it wasn't called what it's called, it would just be a day of interaction with specific fragrances you've never smelled before that will have an impact on you now, later, and forever.
I don't know what else to say. That's perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Michael. You have a wonderful day, and we'll put this out on YouTube, and hopefully we'll see some new friends.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Thank you.